So as you all can see, when I'm standing over here, I'm Supriya. When I'm standing here, I'm Nicole. And when I'm standing here, I'm me. So thank you all. We're going to talk a little bit today about changes in the internet infrastructure post-Taliban takeover in Afghanistan. So a little bit of history. When the Taliban first took over Afghanistan from 96 to roughly 2001, the internet was effectively banned, obviously, except for the Taliban, who were able to continue using it. And it wasn't really banned, but they did a lot to try and ban it. So everybody wanted to know with the new takeover what we were going to start to see, because as of February of 2021, there'd been a lot of penetration, mostly mobile, of the internet in Afghanistan, and it's kind of hard to take it back once you have that. So right now, most internet access is mobile through these 5 providers, although one of those 5 is planning on leaving and is still planning on leaving even post-Taliban takeover. Since the Taliban takeover, there's, I apologize for reading this, there's been some Afghans who work at telecoms who've said that there's no chatter of shutting down. So a big part of it is the Taliban gets a little bit of every monthly bill that is paid in a telecom bill. So 10% goes to the Taliban needs that money. So there hasn't been any talk of shutting it down, but what we are seeing is a big increase in self-censorship. So there's a lot of pro-Taliban accounts that have been set up, not a whole lot, unsurprisingly, not a whole lot of protest accounts, at least not set up in Afghanistan, and there's been a lot of, not a whole lot of people, even outside of Afghanistan, who are Afghani, doing, negative posts about the Taliban. So looking at the data, and this is collected from Grade Noise, we saw a surge of overall internet traffic collected during the period right as the Taliban moves into Kabul. Mobile activity continues to be primary, but we are seeing it start to level off a bit. Internet scanning and bot activity coming from Afghanistan has remained consistent for the last few months. We are seeing actually an increase in the kind of bots and botnet activity coming out of Afghanistan, possibly because of the confusion. There's been less focus on security, so we're seeing less activity. And then we're seeing an increase in reports of blackouts in regions. So internet shutting down, and we don't know again if that's incompetence or if that is intentional shutdown. Honestly, with the Taliban, it could be both. Same thing that we saw kind of in Yemen, where you had new people come over and take over the infrastructure who didn't actually know what they were doing. That results in a whole lot of outages because it turns out managing a network and keeping it online is really, really hard. External scanning. So we've seen a drop in the number of a drop of about 100,000 in externally reachable nodes since the start of the takeover. Now, while you see that line kind of slowly drawing down, those outages are having, increasingly impact. So you'll see much more regional outages happening at any given time. But overall, there are 100,000 fewer reachable nodes now than there were back at the beginning of the Taliban takeover. We've also seen the nic.af website go offline. So even though you can still register .af domains, and their whois server is still working, so that registration infrastructure is still there. So anybody who wants to take advantage and take advantage of the .af domain, which I really think the Taliban, if they were good at marketing, would push out there, because like woke.af is available. There are all kinds of really cool domains that haven't been hit yet that we'd love to see registered. So primarily what we're seeing right now is a lot of self-censorship. Again, that's happening inside of Afghanistan and outside of Afghanistan. So 70% of journalists have stopped working. Freedom of the press has basically been wiped out overnight. Again, pro-Taliban accounts are mushrooming across all kinds of social media profiles. And then, of course, we've seen reports, but we have not seen any evidence that it's been implemented yet, of the Taliban wanting to put together whole country censorship capabilities. So again, we haven't seen that actually go live, but we've seen reports that they're very interested in it. Not unusual. We see that a lot with repressive regimes where when they come in, they immediately want to kind of shut things down. And so again, social media criticism of Afghan leadership is basically non-existent at that point. And then right now, we're also seeing a lot of people who are outside of Afghanistan that just aren't able to contact people inside because they don't want to respond. They don't want to risk being detected, being alerted on, and possibly taken away. So again, we're seeing this kind of self-censorship really, really come through. And unfortunately, I expect that we'll continue to see more of that. So that's all I have. I think I finished up actually a little early. And thank you all for giving me a chance to talk about something that's not ransomware. Very much appreciated.